Hello, thank you for joining us at RC Truth Media. Today I have a lot to show you. Okay, I've been doing a lot of research and I think everybody should be doing their own research as well and not just listening to everybody that they follow on all these channels on YouTube. It's important that you do your own research to make sure that you have your bullshit meter on as well so you can tell what's truth. We don't need to only have our bullshit meter on. We need to go out there and fact search too, and see if our bullshit meter is correct, because sometimes it's off. All right. So I do have here a bunch of things. First, I want to go over the references. People we're going to be talking, getting most of our information from on this channel. Okay, and there's three people that work together. A lot of the time, they're Russian scientists, and they work together on a lot of their work. One of their work is called The Heartbeat of the Sun. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. It's the analysis and prediction of solar activity on a millennium time scale. Okay, now most of the charts that we will be showing in Grand Solar Minimum channels are from these three scientists. Okay, and I figured we would talk a little bit about these scientists today, since we're going to be showing a lot of their stuff. And how qualified are these scientists? Well, let's go over that real fast. John Casey. Okay, he's an American author. Casey's literary works include Dark Winter and Cold Sun. His current residence is in Orlando, Florida. He suffered a major stroke in 2017, followed by a year of intense physical therapy. But according to Casey's biographical page, he has, over the course of 35 years, been a national space policy advisor for the United States of America, also a field engineer, as well as a NASA consultant. Okay, you can read more about this biography if you would like. I'll leave a link below. He is definitely well qualified. Okay, E.P. Popova. She went to Lomonosov Moscow State University, and her skills and expertise include evolution, fluid dynamics, mathematical physics, waves, magnetic field, solar, nuclear physics, butterflies, solar activity, sun, and rotation. She is definitely well qualified too, and very pretty. Okay, so we do have as well Professor Dr. Valentina Zarkova. Dr. Valentina Zarkova is a professor in mathematics at Northumbria University. She has a BSc and an MSc in applied mathematics and astronomy. She also has a PhD in astrophysics. Now, this is just too much of accomplishments to read right here. I'll go ahead and leave a link below so you can read all of her accomplishments. But yeah, she is definitely well qualified. Okay, look at that face. She's like, "Are you seriously gonna talk back to me? Just look at my biography. Okay, look at my qualifications here. Yeah, don't talk back. Basically." Okay, look at him, Dr. Sergei Zarkov. He's actually very qualified as well. Okay, he's a lecturer in physics, Faculty of Science and Engineering, School of Mathematics and Physical Sciences. Sergey gained his bachelor's in mathematics in 1996 from Cambridge University and his PhD on conic structures and differential geometry in 2000 from the University of Glasgow. He started his research in solar physics by working on solar feature recognition algorithms for the European grid of solar observations, moving to local helioseismology research at the University of Sheffield with Professor M.J. Thompson in 2005. Sergey joined the Solar Physics Group at Mullard Space Science Laboratory in 2009, where he worked on detection and physics on sunquakes. He was appointed as a lecturer at the Hull in 2013. These are the main people that we will be referencing, okay? Just wanted to let you know who they are, so you can know that, yes, they are very qualified, okay? Now, the one chart that comes from Adapt 2030 is coming from this channel right here, or this chart right here. He has modified it a little bit to make it better understandable. This is in 2010. over here. I believe they did this chart in 2014 or so. But we are actually over here. We're expanding, okay? And in the grand solar minimum, we are going to be expanding, going for last year was going 2 times fold are 2 times more intense into these weather events, okay, such as hurricanes, snowstorms, rains, flooding, crop loss. Now, that was in going last year. From 2018 to 2019, which is this year, it's going to be 4 times as intense. And then from 2019 to 2020, it's going to be 6 times as intense, concerning all the weather events, flooding, crop loss, and hurricanes, everything else. Okay, so we'll see what happens with the hurricanes, but with definitely it's going to get colder. We're going to have a lot more of these crazy weather events, flooding, crop loss is occurring as we speak. Um, John Casey did say some very interesting things, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what he said real fast. Like, I did some more research today. Now, a lot of these grand solar minimum people believe that our universe is an electric universe. I do as well. I believe our sun is the electricity for our earth to work. And thanks to work like the heartbeat of the sun from Shepard, Popova, and Zarkova, we now know more about how the sun works on our earth and more about how the solar system works. The sun has a pulse, it's like a heartbeat, and we can think of this like breathing in and out, small breaths. And every once in a while we take in a deep breath. Now this deep breath can be considered the grand solar minimums and the grand solar maximums. When the sun's heartbeat, when it beats, it sends a pulse of magnetic waves to the earth, and the earth reacts to this, okay? It's the magnetic waves, it's electric magnetic waves, and the earth acts accordingly. And you could think of it as a pulse, okay? Just like if you're sitting on the hospital bed and getting your pulse taken, same exact thing. Also, some other interesting information I'd come across. John Casey believes a little bit differently than the Russian scientists. John Casey thinks that our planet came off the peak of its warming in early 2016. He believes that the temperature has been decreasing globally since then. John Casey predicts there will be no warm spikes for approximately 400 years. From May to June, this is in 2017, from May through June, there was a big drop in global temperatures. That's when we saw the hurricanes, the crazy weather events. We are now on a down cycle, a downside of a 206-year solar cycle, and there's nothing that man can do about that. The temperatures will drop. There will be a total of 412 years roughly before Earth warms up again. This is what Casey believes. Casey thinks we're headed back to a delta type minimum, which delta minimum was between 790 and 1830. There's records showing that in 1816, that was the year without a summer. It was completely frozen over the entire year, and this was in the Dalton minimum, okay? Now, his Russian colleagues are totally convinced that we're headed into a little ice age like the Maunder minimum, which was from 1650 to 1745. In 1745, New York Harbor was frozen over. Also, the Thames River and the Baltic Sea was frozen over. Across the Baltic Sea, shops were built and set up on the ice, while travelers traveling could stop and get something to eat or drink. This was a time of famine, disease, war. Many suffered and died. Many did not survive this time. Okay, so if we are headed back to a delta or Maunder type minimum, which I believe we are headed towards a delta type minimum myself. Maunder type minimum was the coldest part of the littlest ice age, and with the research that I have done, I just am not sure 100% either way, but I do see what's happening. and it's definitely going to be one of the two. Okay, let's talk about crop losses. We've seen what's happening in the past few years, just all the way around. Global events, weather changes has been happening, and now I want to show you some of those events here. Okay, deadly monsoon rains have displaced 1 million people, and they're not letting up. And this is in Bangladesh in India. India is having a lot of trouble right now with their crops. People are committing suicide. It's a lot of people have actually committed suicide in these past few years due to what's happening with their floods and their crops. A lot of these people, they survive and live off the crops, and their food that they grow and they sell, and that's how they live. And if they don't have any crops that are yielding anything, then they're not making any money, and this is putting the whole place in a depression. Okay. Other news: Delaware request emergency declaration from the United States for crop damage due to recent storms. And this is from yesterday. Breaking news: too much rain at the wrong time, like Delaware experienced in April and May, has destroyed several high dollar crops and threatens the yield of many others, leaving farmers to wonder what the future holds. In surveying the state and listening to farmers, Secretary of Agriculture Michael T. Scoose made a request for an emergency disaster declaration 2 weeks ago to USDA's Farm Service Agency, the FSA State Service Center. Delaware family farms are the backbone of their economy, making agriculture their #1 industry. So this is a main problem, not just going on for Delaware; it's the whole east side of the United States. Let's look at what's going on in Minnesota. Continued rainfall and excessive wet field conditions. Ryan Miller, extensive educator, says it has been wet for much of southern Minnesota. This has been one of the wettest growing seasons on records. Precipitation maps from June 12th show just how wet it has been. Okay, so it's getting wetter and colder, and we're in June 21st now. This is the first week of summer over here on the East Coast, and they're flooded. All their crops are not doing well. Let's say that. India. At least 23 people are dead and 500,000 affected as floods and torrential rain swept across India's northeastern states. This isn't just affecting crops, it's affecting everything. At least 23 people have been killed and more than 500,000 people affected as floods driven by torrential monsoon rains ravage India's northeastern states. As many as 12 deaths were reported in drownings, landslides, and electrocutions in the first wave of floods in the Assam region since last Wednesday, state disaster management officials said. Yes, look at this number right here. An estimated 448,495 people were affected in Assam. Oh man. It says suffering damage to their crops, land, or livelihood. That's a sad time for them. In other news: hail ravages Colorado crops for the second time in 2 days. This is from 3 days ago, June 20th. Boulder County, Colorado. There's no denying Tuesday's hailstorms. They ravaged their crops in Boulder. Myanmar. Farmers count losses as floods ruined 746 acres of crops. Of the 361 acres destroyed by army worms, 193 were saved after the farmers followed advice with agriculture experts who wanted them to use pesticides. Alright, Myanmar suffers. So, this is going on all over the globe. We are having more and more weather events occurring as we get deeper into the grand solar minimum. You need to be prepared. Maybe your area hasn't been affected yet, but you're one of the lucky ones, and so am I. Get you some safety kits, some food kits, some cryptocurrency, gold, silver. You're going to need things like this because this is a time of change all the way around, and you never know when one of these natural disasters could hit your area. So it's better to be prepared than not be prepared at all. Thank you very much for coming to my channel. I hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe. Donate if you are very kind. I would very appreciate it. And you have a blessed day.